Shalom, Kahala, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Hamashiach, Warawak Kadash. All praises be to the Most High, Yahweh, in the name of His Son, and our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai. And in the Hebrew, that means He saves or He delivers, whom you ignorantly call Jesus. Salutations to the hopeful elect, and to the confusion of face that are scattered abroad, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom. Purpose of this lesson this afternoon is to discuss on how effective this word has been now that the Hebrew Israelites are waking up and this word is going out throughout the four corners of the earth. It's starting to cause some grave concern and consternation among the nation of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. And so what you're seeing is you're seeing this sense of trying to be made into the victim. And that's what we're starting to see. And so you're seeing this cry out or this plea bargain to be seen as an innocent victim. And this sense of being picked on. So this gentleman here, or he appears to be a gentleman, but we know that their words are smoother than butter and their lips are softer than oil. But war is in his heart, as it is written in Psalms chapter 55, verses 19 through 21. So again, he's accusing the entire world of making his race of people as a scapegoat and blaming him and blaming his race for all of the issues that we're having around the world. Now, keep in mind, if you studied a little bit of history, you know that Esau or Edom, the so-called white man, used warfare and violence to terrorize the entire earth. And they would, what you would call today, colonize the earth and other nations, people that are minding their business. Esau, Edom, or the so-called white man would fall back on his blessing being the sword, which is bloodshed, warfare, and violence. But now that people are waking up and getting tired of these white supremacist terrorists, or white so-called, and now that Esau, Edom is being exposed as the devil on the planet, people are tired of being terrorized by them. And so we're going to let the video play, and then we're going to go into some scriptures, because everything that's happening right now, brothers and sisters, is all prophetic. And the men of the Lord is exposing Esau for whom he truly is, the son of Satan, and Satan himself on the entire earth. And that's why it takes a lot of thorough studying and understanding Bible prophecy to see what's happening right now. And quite frankly, it's exciting because we know that this Bible is coming to life in its prophecies. All right. So again, he has some nerve to try to play the victim. Some nerve, when all they've done throughout history is invade other people's land, rape, rob, murder, and pillage. So without further ado, we're going to let the video play, and then we're going to let this Bible come out. Well, Salakia, there's a short article that I want to read first, and then we'll let the scriptures come out. Let's continue.
Because if you believe that accumulated sins can be cast into some other entity, that entity can then be attacked and driven out and expiated from society, and then your sin is also purged from yourself, from history, from your conscience, and so on. Well, it's hard to quit an addiction to immorality if you believe you have an easy and perfect cure for the resulting bad conscience, which is to scapegoat, right? That's where scapegoat comes from, and probably also why the goat is associated with the devil. So, if you want to understand the modern world, you have to understand one thing, that white people are now the scapegoats of the moral conscience of the planet. that the predation, the rape, the colonialism, the war, the subjugation, the tyranny that has characterized almost all of human history is now focused on white people. And there is this belief that if you take the accumulated sins of your ancestors and you pour them into some external being, in this case, white people, and then you attack or try and drive them away or try to humiliate them and so on, that somehow you are solving the problem of immorality, that you're solving the problem of sin. And of course, it's false. It is a false belief. It is an incredibly destructive belief. And generally, you see, the goat can't fight back. You see, they don't try. There's no scape. There's no scape tiger, right? There's no scape elephant. There's no scape shark. There's only a scapegoat. Why? Because goats are relatively harmless, can't fight back, and therefore can be the poison container. Like if you are full of a bad conscience, then you wish to rid yourself of that bad feeling. And this, of course, is the basic plot line of Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment. If you have done something immoral, then you wish to rid yourself of the bad conscience of your immoral action. And you have really three choices. You can kill yourself, which will certainly rid you of that bad feeling, but is certainly not recommended. Or you can commit to admitting fault. You can commit to reparations. You can commit to doing better. You can use really the pain of a bad conscience to guide you to a better life, which is sort of like you put your hand in the... I remember this as a kid. I saw a metal knife sitting next to the gas burner we used to cook, and I grabbed it. Only once. When I was in Ireland, somebody told me about nettles, a little poisonous plant, and I must wonder what that's like. I pinched the nettles only once, right? The purpose of pain is to prevent recurrence. The purpose of pain is not history. The purpose of pain is the future. If you have psychological pain about the past, it's not about the past. It's trying to teach you to avoid the same situation in the future, while, of course, people who harm you, people who want to exploit you, wish you to think that your psychological pain is only about the past so that they can continue to exploit you because you are undefended, focusing only on the past. No, your past pain is to prevent you from being exploited and harmed and abused. Again, that's the purpose of pain. When I grabbed the nettle and it hurt for an hour, stung for an hour, the purpose of the pain was not to prevent me from touching the nettle in the past, because that's impossible. You can't go back in time. The purpose of the pain was to prevent me from touching a nettle in the future. So when it comes to the world as a whole, there is an example of the white race, which has had its faults for sure, but has done some incredibly wonderful things as well, like spending massive amounts of blood and treasure to end the slave trade worldwide by creating the idea of universal rights, not in-group preferences, not tribal rights, not I believe what you believe, therefore we are brothers and everyone else is our enemy. It was fairly unique in coming up with the idea of universal rights. In modern science, 97% of all scientific advancements between 800 BC and 1950 AD came from Europe and North America, not including Mexico.
Not true.
Largely, almost exclusively, the modern world is a white male phenomenon, and that has prevented the deaths or allowed the continued life of literally billions of people. So in a rational universe, people would say, yeah, white people sure did some bad things, but man, when you weigh the minuses and you weigh the pluses, medicine, science, the free market, human rights, and so on, largely Greco-Roman and Christian perspectives. And yeah, they've done some pretty great stuff around the world, and billions of people owe their lives to Western science and medicine and markets and agricultural innovations and you name it, right? So great stuff. So what people could do around the world is they could say, boy, that the whites did sort of like an icebreaker through the frozen ice of an abusive history and present of mankind. Let's trail after them and let's continue to widen that passage. Let's continue to extend freedoms. Let's continue.
This guy is full of pride. He's trying to attribute all the advances in civilization to the so-called white race. First of all, if we study history, boys and girls, we learn that under Alexander the Greek, somewhere around 330 BC, they would conquer other nations and civilizations and absorb them into their own. and they would steal all of the advances in technology. They would steal science, math, medicine, and then they would stamp their so-called white idealist name on it. They would call it a Greek invention or Greek poetry or Greek science. And this was continued through the Roman Empire, somewhere around 300 to 100 AD. So they would steal other nations' culture and oppress a man and his culture and heritage. And they would take credit for advancing mankind and civilization. So they would begin to build a foundation of white supremacy. And we know the term white means innocent, pure, wholesome. All right? It means righteous. And that term is a misnomer. It was created to mind screw you because they're red, according to the Bible. In Genesis 25 and 25, it says the first came out red. All right? And they called his name Esau. So now that we've listened to a lot of lies and prepping himself up as contributing to society all of the advances to help improve the conditions of mankind, we're going to do a reality check on everything he just said in order to pump up and build white supremacy. So let's go into some of the evil, sinister, wicked things that Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, has really done on this earth. Not only has he waged war on other nations around the world and bullied them by threatening to bomb them and use nuclear warfare against them, but he's also used his science or pseudoscience or science falsely so-called to poison other inhabitants around the world. All right? Under the guise of promoting health and wellness and using the World Health Organization, which falls underneath the European Union and the United Nations. So let's go into this article and see some of the evils and wicked, sinister devices of the devil on what they've done around the world. We deliberately spread HIV and AIDS in South Africa. A former apartheid-era intelligence officer confessed. And they've done this throughout history. They even did this in the Americas to the northern tribe of Israel and murdered millions by spreading smallpox and hiding it in the blankets. This is the first article in our March edition cover story, which not only exposes the former apartheid-era intelligence service officer Alexander Jones' bombshell confession, but we also bring back to fore the infamous 30-month trial of Dr. Wouter Basson, nicknamed Dr. Death, who from October 4th, 1999 to 11 April 2002, with many of his former colleagues, was among the 200 witnesses called by the South African state, testified how Basson had used his minions and agents from Project Coast, the unofficial name of South Africa's chemical biological warfare program, to kill Black Africans big time. The 12-page cover story, which can be assessed in full here, also looks at how AIDS became an African epidemic, and we signpost our readers to the book, Something More Sinister by South Africa's Ben Gear. The book probes even more on chemical and biological weapons in Southern Africa. Sit back and digest the first take below by our editor-at-large, Bafor Ankoma, in a shocking confession made on camera in a new documentary, Cold Case Hammarskjöld, a former member of South Africa's apartheid-era intelligence service, says that the AIDS virus and other diseases were deliberately spread among the population in an effort to kill off as many blacks as possible. His confession, considered just the tip of the iceberg, has reignited the simmering debate about the whole phenomena of AIDS in Africa. Now, we know that they lied and said that AIDS came from a monkey, a wild monkey in Africa. And they also poisoned the so-called Negroes in America by purposely injecting them with syphilis and conducting short, medium, and long-term studies. And they did something similar in Puerto Rico, the so-called Puerto Ricans or tribe of Ephraim. So this man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Until February 2019, most Africans did not know about the Sundance Film Festival, a program of the Sundance Institute, which takes place annually in Park City, Utah, in America. Now they know because something controversial happened at the festival this year that will live with Africans for a long time to come. Having had 224,900 attendees in 2019, Sundance is the largest independent film festival in the United States. This year it took place between 24 January and 3 February. The attendance figure is not yet out. What is out is controversy, a damning confession by former apartheid-era operative who admitted on camera in one of the films shown that he and his colleagues at the South African Institute for Maritime Research, which masterminded coups and other forms of violence across Africa in the 70s and 80s, deliberately spread the HIV virus in Southern Africa to wipe out black people. And we know they've done this in America too, through their so-called vaccination program, by injecting us with mercury. Mercury, it's poisonous to our system. Not only HIV, but also mercury they've injected our babies with, killing us off. Alexander Jones, who says he spent years as an intelligence officer with SAMR 30 years ago, became the center of attraction on the third day of the Sundance Festival when the Danish-Swede made documentary Cold Case Hammarskjöld was screened. Sources in South Africa say SAMR was linked to the country's notorious chemical and biological warfare program headed by Dr. Wouter Basson, a program which apartheid racists use as a cover to kill black people in South Africa and beyond, or do them serious harm. The racist operational era was what used to be called the Frontline States, now known simply as the SADC region. We covered Dr. Basson's operations in detail in 2001 November edition. South Africa's counter-biological warfare program also had links with Rhodesia's, and the pair did a lot of harm to black Africans, including spreading cholera and other dangerous diseases in the region, and topping it with HIV and AIDS experimentation. Sound familiar? They did this to the so-called North American Indians, the tribes of Gad, Simeon, and Reuben. Worse, when independence was approaching in Zimbabwe, there are suggestions that Ian Smith's Rhodesian government, with tacit support from South Africa, rushed to remove the evidence by killing a lot of black people who were subjects under counter-biological warfare experiments. Cold Case Hammarskjöld was made by Mads Brugger, Danish, and Göran, Swedish. These are Edomites, according to the Bible, the son of Satan. The documentary investigates the case of the former UN Secretary General Dag Hammarskjöld, who died in a mysterious plane crash near Ndola, Zambia in 1961. All praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh. That was judgment. During the hearings of South Africa's Truth and Reconciliation Commission in 1998, letters with Samir's official letterhead where British intelligence had agreed that Hammarskjöld should be removed, but London and Washington denied involvement in Hammarskjöld's assassination. All right? So we won't read the whole article because it's several pages long, but I just wanted to show you on some of the crimes and atrocities that's been committed by Esau, Edom throughout the entire earth. That's why 1 Peter 5:8 says, your adversary, the devil, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. Not only is that spreading false religious doctrines and fake Christianity, but it's also physically destroying you. All right? So Esau, Edom has a lot to pay for. They come with soft, smooth words so that they can befriend you And then they begin to bring in the CIA and espionage to take down your existing government structure, inject chaos and confusion, and then they spread their false Christianity in order to put you under a spiritual spell, and then they inject you with HIV. They use their high frequency radio communication towers, or 5G and 4G towers, to spread radiation waves throughout the environment. They put GMOs in the food, and they poison the water with fluoride. So this man is an animal, Esau, Edom, a cave beast, all right, without any morals, okay? And the Bible exposes them. And we're getting ready to go into the scriptures now. This is why we got to cling to this book, because it exposes them. And it tells us on how to defend ourselves against the adversaries of God, or the adversaries of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right? So let's go into the Bible. We're going to go to Isaiah 14 and 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? And how art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? Lucifer, they call themselves the illuminated ones, or Illuminati. They call themselves the light bearers. They're the shadow government behind all of the puppet governments and puppet national leaders that are put into place. As long as you pay tributaries to the shadow government, they'll allow you to stay in power. They're trying to establish a puppet government right now in Venezuela in order to usurp control over their oil resources. They're trying to topple down Maduro and implement a new government under Juan Guaido. So they're using the same strategies and tactics that they've used in the past. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. So they're occupying North America over the bulk of the children of Israel, which are primarily in North America, but we know that we've been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble and that did shake kingdoms? How did they make the earth to tremble and shake kingdoms? By dropping bombs on nations, forcing them to comply to the UN policies and to the policies of America, primarily North America area, to bow down to the beast, which is the European Union. So the most notable bombs that they dropped was World War II. The bombs called atomic bombs called Fat Man and Little Boy. And they boast themselves in causing fire to fall from heaven. That's atomic and nuclear warfare and dropping bombs. That's how they made the earth to tremble and shake kingdoms. Verse 17, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners. Right now, they're establishing FEMA camps, and Esau, Edom controls the privatized prison system. Job 9 and 24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Who out of the 18 Bible nations, or the table of 18 nations in the Bible, Esau, Edom is only one of them. He's the only nation that fits the characteristics of being the top adversary of Yahweh or of God. That's poisoning the nations, bombing the other nations, colonizing the other nations, and forcing them to adhere to the European Union and U.S. policies. All right? Esau, Edom has terrorized the entire earth and all the inhabitants of the earth. And he's being exposed in these last days. Let's prove it. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 8. And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. How is he consuming him with the spirit of his mouth? As it is written in John chapter 6, verse 63, the words coming out of this holy book. So they're being taken down spiritually first. And how is he going to destroy them with the brightness of his coming? As it is written in Isaiah chapter 66, verse 15 and 16, he's coming with chariots of fire, whom you ignorantly call UFOs. They're identifiable flying objects because they're coming to wreak havoc and judgment on this earth, and is going to destroy this wicked kingdom under Esau, Edom by fire. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 9. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power, signs, and lying wonders. What power, signs, and lying wonders? Their technology, the advanced weather system by using the harp to cause earthquakes and storms, destroying nations and other inhabitants of the earth, only to bring in their own contractors and to make billions of dollars through contracts. So they create the chaos and then they bring the solution by using the high frequency radio waves and 5G towers to cause cancer and sickness and mind control, by using its multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical drug industry to put people under a trance and a spell, and by using its media and propaganda news broadcasting system to make themselves look like the good guys, but the people of color or the Hebrew Israelites and anybody else that goes against them are demonized. Those are the lying signs and lying wonders. Their technology. And it tells us his working is after Satan. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 10. With all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that shall perish, because they receive not the love of the truth that they might be saved. Many people are buying into the deception and trickery of the Esau, Edom. That's why John 8 and 44 says, you are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning. And if you read Revelations 2 and 10, it says that the devil shall cast some of you into prison. Who owns the privatized prison systems and is currently building FEMA camps to enslave the children of Israel and other inhabitants scattered throughout the earth? Esau, Edom is the so-called white man. This is not that hard. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians 2 and 2. That ye be not soon shaken in mind or troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter as from us, as that day of Yahushua Hamashiach is at hand. The men of the Lord are warning you. Once this devil gets exposed, then we know we're close to the end. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. What man of sin is being revealed? Esau, Edom is the so-called white man. What does it mean, son of perdition? Perdition means destruction. As it is written in Malachi 1 and 4, they are the border of wickedness. That means wherever they go, they spread sickness, disease, warfare, famine. You see? And they usurp the resources, the natural resources of those lands that they go into by use of violence. As it is written in Genesis 27 and 40, their blessing is the sword. That's bloodshed, warfare, violence. All right. Let's go to Revelations 12 and 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. What does that mean? If you read Lamentations 2 and 1, where it says he was cast out unto the earth, the children of Israel were cast out to the earth. The so-called Negroes, Native Latinos, and Native Americans. That means their kingdom is fallen. They're fallen out of rulership. And the angels, that in this context, angels just simply means agents. And I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our power, and the power of Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. How? By using the media and news propaganda broadcast machine. They control the news stations and the news networks. That's how they're accusing the brethren day and night. All right? And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they loved not their lives unto the death. Verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil is come down into you, having great wrath, because he know that he has such a short time. That's why they're making plans for martial law. They've already established operating zones, and they've already activated some of the FEMA camps. They're up and ready to go. They've already declared certain zones of operation for control and for military, full-blown military exercises and military operations. All right? They've already drawn up battle plans. So Esau is hurt. So what is he going to do? By default, he's going to fall back on his blessing, being the sword, as it is written in Genesis 27 and 40. They're going to fall back on bloodshed. This is what they do. All right? So let's go to Job 9 and 24. We already read that. We're going to read Obadiah 1 and 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. Many nations around the world hate Esau, Edom. But because they are a superpower and a global nuclear power with a strong military apparatus, many nations are trying to contend with them. Are trying to compromise. But now that other nuclear powers are rising throughout the earth, now the playing field is being leveled out. Verse 3, the pride of thine heart has deceived thee, thou that dwell in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? And though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest amongst the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. So the Most High is going to bring them down. Their space force is not going to save them. Although they're in rulership, which they have the height of the hill, it's telling us they're going to fall through Yahweh and through his son coming to judge the earth, Yahweh Shai. All right, let's go to Psalms 10 and 1. Why stand thou afar off, O Lord? Why hide thyself in times of trouble? The wicked in his pride does persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. For the wicked boast of his heart's desire, and bless the covetous, whom Yahweh abhorreth. The wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after Yahweh. God is not at all in his thoughts. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth them. He has said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. Psalms 10 and 7. His mouth is full of cursing, deceit, and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. They use deceit and fraud by spreading disease and pestilence, and by using subversion and trickery to take down nations and to put them under the control of the international bankers. Job 20 and 5. That the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach into the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? So he's going to fall like poop getting flushed down the toilet. Job 20 and 27. The heaven shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. All right. 1 Corinthians 3 and 16 tells us, children of Israel, know ye not that ye are the temple of God? So we are revealing the iniquity. He's being revealed by the men of the Lord and the children of Israel, the so-called Native Indians, Native Latinos, and Native Americans. And Negroes. Let's go to Psalms 52 and 5. Yahweh shall likewise destroy thee forever. He shall take thee away and pluck thee out of the dwelling place, and root thee out of the land of the living. The righteous also shall see, and fear, and shall laugh at him. Lo, this is the man that made not God his strength, but trusted in the abundance of his riches, and strengthened himself in wickedness. So we're going to laugh at these devils when they fall. All right? The end is at hand. Zechariah 12 and 7 says the Most High will save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David do not magnify themselves against him. The tents of Judah is where Yahweh Shai, our Savior, came out of, as it is written in Hebrews 7 and 14. All right? So all the other tribes and nations around the earth are beginning to feel the vibration of the children of Israel waking up and exposing these damn devils. All right? So call Halom Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. All praises be to the Most High Yahweh in the name of his Son, our Savior, Yahweh Shai. Much respect to the brothers doing the work and pushing his truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Salutations to the hopeful elect and the confusion of faith scattered abroad. And double honors to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom.